In the 1970s, the South Australian Film Corporation turned out Australian classics such as Breaker Morant, Sunday Too Far Away and of course Storm Boy. Some of the key players from those famous films are in South Australia again to reminisce about those days at a new exhibition. Leah McLennan has the story.
Hey Quinn, it's breakfast. Tastes like roast turd.
Sunday Too Far Away was the first feature film produced by the South Australian Film Corporation. To its producer, its star and to audiences, it was a watershed moment in Australian cinema.
When we were kids, when we played goodies and baddies, we adopted American accents. When we played war stories, we adopted British accents because our screen as children, our movie screens, had been dominated by English and American film. There was no such thing as an Australian hero up there.
It was really Basil Mackenzie era, and Sunday is just so Australian and so truthful about that period and those characters, and it's utterly uncompromising in the story that it tells. And I think it then gave a lot of filmmakers the confidence to make really strong Australian stories.
That golden era when Australian stories really began being told in films is being celebrated in an exhibition at the State Library. And it's a chance to reminisce for Jack Thompson and Matt Carroll.
I take one look at this young fella and I think, boy, you've got a lot to learn.
The concept for this exhibition formed when the Film Corporation moved from Hendon to the new studios at Glenside. As staff cleared out the Hendon studios, they had to sort through rooms full of years of photographs, film and paraphernalia.
All of this material was down in the vault and had been there for many, many years. So as part of the move, we started to have to identify and sort all of these out and came upon what is actually really film history, great Australian history.
It all comes flooding back. What I see is this extraordinary vitality captured in these photographs and the making of film captured as well. Not just the scenes that you see when you see the film, but the scenes that are associated with the making of the film. And it is the making of film that I really love.
Matt Carroll was behind the scenes for many of those movies.
Weather is probably the biggest problem that you have on any picture.
He was a producer on Sunday Too Far Away, Storm Boy, Breaker Morant and The Club, to name a few. He says the photographs in this exhibition capture some of the greatest moments of Australian cinema history.
There's a photograph behind me which is an amazing moment in cinema where Jack Thompson gives a famous speech in Breaker Morant. And it's about a 12-minute speech and he did it in one take. And the shot is there of us just all after he'd finished doing it. And you know, you relive the moment. It's extraordinary.
For Jack Thompson, the exhibition brings back memories of camaraderie with actors and crew on the set. Like the time during filming Sunday Too Far Away, when Reg Lai got out of learning to shear by claiming he was left-handed.
And the man instructing all the actors in shearing said, well, the left-handed shearer is put down at the end of the board and he faces the other way. And Reg immediately said, well, I'm a left-handed shearer then. Because while all of us were on camera shearing, Reg had his back to us and all he had to do was that.
Or then there was the time on the set of Breaker Morant when they held a surprise birthday party for Edward Woodward.
I'd forgotten that we celebrated it as a sort of surprise on the set. And you can see the look on everyone's face is just sheer joy. It was a delight.
Director Bruce Beresford also has very fond memories of that time in cinema, mainly because directing the films Breaker Morant and The Club rescued him from oblivion.
If it hadn't been for the South Australian Film Corporation, I wouldn't have had any career at all. Because I'd made a couple of films in Sydney. I did a couple of these Barry Mackenzie films, which were, as far as my career was concerned, a complete disaster. And without Breaker Morant in particular, I would have had to open a second-hand bookshop. I'd never have had a film career.
Since its move from Hendon to Glenside, the South Australian Film Corporation has been criticised for producing few films. In its first year there, it attracted only $100,000 worth of work. But the corporation says the tide has now turned.
We actually have a full slate for the next 12 months, mostly of South Australian producers making extraordinary films. The nature of this industry is it's actually quite hard to cobble together the different sources of funding, and sometimes films either fall over for a short period of time and they might come back 6 months or 12 months later. So it's a normal course of our business that things sometimes come and go.
And while the glory days of 70s cinema are over, those who were there say it's not the end of great Australian cinema.
We continue to tell stories. This early era was about, we hadn't told any stories, so there were a lot of very important ones to tell. Like Sunday Too Far Away was about the great shearers' strikes in the 50s. And Break a Morant was about our history at war and our breaking away from being a British colony. So they were very important stories to tell, but today we're telling more contemporary stories about us being a multicultural society and things like that. So storytelling changes with the eras.